Hello everyone, Sire here. Thank you so much for joining me for another submission to Craft Roulette. This is number 120. And so one of the criterias in this one is hand-drawn. So I decided to speed this video up very fast, 8 per times, and I'm just going to show you my whole process of creating this card. And it looks like in less than 11 minutes. Let's see if we can knock that down a bit. The criteria for this round was it needed to be a congratulation card. It had to be in the garden, had to have vegetable garden colors, and it had to have hand-drawn elements. And with that, let's the fun begin. So like I said, I have sped this up 8 times just so that, this took quite a while to make. One thing I will say is that I've not done this where I color and draw real time, and you can tell because I keep moving the paper for my convenience. But what that does is it makes it so that it's flicking back and forth. So if that bothers you, this may not be the video for you. So just warning. I did start coloring my hammer. I stamped it twice because if I made a mistake on one, I had another one available. And I decided to use my pencil crayons for this. I didn't end up using pencil crayons for the whole thing because I realized that coloring backgrounds is not fun with pencil crayons, at least not for me. And so I decided to switch to alcohol markers afterwards. Right here I'm just using some Gamsol just to smooth out that so it has a nice smooth finish. And then I'm just going to fussy out my hammer, and I'm going to put that aside and start working on my card. So you won't see it at first. I'm using a very light hand, but pretty much what I'm doing is I'm creating a scene for my hammer to stand in. I'm not going to give you away what it is exactly because I want it to be a nice surprise, but the more you look at it, you can kind of get an idea of what it is. I know it's very light, but soon I will outline it a little bit darker. This is usually how I draw scenes. I pencil it in very, very lightly because I don't want to leave too much of an indent. Not as big of a problem if you're using alcohol markers, I believe, but definitely if you're using pencil crayons, you don't want to create any indents because it's harder to color in. So just creating some more fine details and I don't know if you can figure it out yet. I'm adding grass now. And here comes, nope, not yet. I'm just fixing it up, and then here comes the black pen. So I'm going to outline the grass, and I'm just very quickly, just random, like it's not anything strategic, it's just moving my hand very quickly and going up and down. Now I'm just outlining all the boards, so that's what it is. It is going to be a fence. But it's not just any fence. It's going to be a fence that's very poorly done. It's definitely created with not much experience and know-how of how to create a fence. So I'm just outlining every little post, and then I'm adding the parts that are keeping the fence together. But as you can see, it wasn't done very well because one of the boards has fallen down, and just going to outline that, and then the boards that are holding it in. So one piece has fallen down. Now I'm just going to erase all my pencil lines, and all I'm left is with my outliner, my liner. I am using a micron pen for this in a 0.02. Yeah, that's what it is. This stamp said that the hammer also had nails. So what I'm doing is I'm also just inking just the tip of it and making it look like they're hammered into these little pieces of wood that are holding this fence together. And I'm just having fun with this. I'm just making it so absurd, like just nails everywhere. Like this is beyond just practical. It's just funny. I just had a lot of fun going crazy with this. And at the bottom, I'm just adding a little bit of ink. Or I should say I'm adding a little bit of ink just to round them off. Okay, so next I'm just going to add some detail. When I'm doing detail on fences, I just kind of follow my hand down, and I don't think too much about it. I just kind of do dots and hoops and loops and knots and just quickly do it. It doesn't take much time for that. But I guess that's practice because I've done this many times. When I doodle fences, it's always the same. Next, I'm adding just some grass. It's, once again, just scribbles. They don't mean anything. Like, I'm not strategically doing it. I'm just making little squiggles, and then added some nice little flowers. For the sentiment, I grabbed, it's from the same kit or stamp set, and it says, "Congrats, you nailed it," which I thought was just so great, because yes, they definitely nailed it. I'm just going to fill in this grass with some Copic markers. I'm not sure the color. It might be like YG11. I don't keep track of the colors that I'm using. I have a chart with me, and I just look at the chart colors, and then I pick it. I actually don't have any recipes, at least not yet. And then just using a darker one following, making a little bit of shade, and then I'm going to blend that all back in with the exact same marker again. I'm not looking for a smooth transition. I kind of like it a little blotchy. It's not a perfect smooth grass. Next, I'm just going to fill in the base coat with for the fences, just the main panels that are holding up. I'll color the other pieces a little later shade. And then taking a darker color for the thickness, the shadow, and then we'll go around all the different nooks and crannies just to create some dimension. I'm not looking for too much realism. This is kind of a cartoony picture, so I'm just doing very rough. So I'm not worried too much about realism here. Pretty much just the most realism is just going to be trying to, if there's anything overlapping, just to put a little shade on that. And then I'm going to take that previous marker and just that I used for the base and just go over it all over again to smooth out so there's not as harsh lines. And then once that's done, I believe I will take the even lighter brown. Might be even called eggshell, to be honest. It looks like eggshell. I'm just going to do all the little small pieces and then take a little bit darker. Once again, very similar, just going over all the pieces and then smoothing it out. For the nails, I'm going to use the only gray I have, which I think is out of ink. So luckily there's only a little nails just to color in there. Next, now here's where it's not, it happens that my two blues for skies are absolutely dried out of ink. There's no ink whatsoever. So this is going to be a really scratchy background for the sky. It almost kind of turns out looking like it's raining because the way I did it. And the ink is just so dry, and I try to get as much ink out of it. So what I did, I realized it here, and then I grabbed my second marker, and I'm like, oh shoot, this one's dry too. So nothing's smoothing out. So pretty much all I do is I take my base coat again, and I just go over it, and I just try to smooth as much ink out of that, or take as much ink out of that as possible, try and smooth it out. I personally don't mind it, but it's definitely not the intention that I wanted. I really didn't want it to be so stripy. I realized that this ink, I thought archival ink was permanent and wouldn't bleed, but when I was putting the alcohol marker over it, I saw that some of the lettering was smoothing, so that's why I was being very careful with inking around it, just because I didn't want to smudge it at all. This card is going to be a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square. I thought it'd be kind of fun to create another small little card. And then I'm going to trim a piece of black cardstock very, very, very thin, almost like a 1/16 of an inch, and then trim my base, or my panel. And I'm going to glue those together, and it's just going to create the smallest black frame. I will use adhesive to glue to the black panel, but I'm going to use double-sided tape to glue to the base, because I find that if I use glue, it wrinkles and it makes the card warp, or the base warp, and I don't like that too much. So I will just use the double adhesive. Now, to make it fun, I'm going to add the smiley face that's also in the stamp set to my hammer. So he's very happy. And then I'm going to draw some legs and arms, and I'm going to put the posture of He is satisfied with what he's done. He feels accomplished. He feels awesome. He's like, job well done. I deserve to stand here with his hands on his side. I'm just doodling on the side to make sure that I do it properly. And there he goes. Just, I feel satisfied. I'm good. and then I take an 8, or rather 0.8 micron pen to make the arms and legs a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to add my exclamation mark to the sentiment. So that's it. I do hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, this video was mainly just to show the whole process, start and finish of creating a card that I had in my head. And just to show you that we can create things that are completely different than our comfort zone. Creating the scene it did take a lot out of me, but I'm really happy with it and I'm glad that I created it. Thank you for joining me on this adventure, and I do hope that you have a beautiful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all later. Take care. Bye.